look, I mean, there was a time when I got a little bit, ahead of myself. Because, fame, ule young, you buy the fastest cars. I remember at some point, one of my cars didn't even have a boot. In the sound system. you know, you know, because as soon as because we rate one another, as we rate one another, we've got new money. Yeah. So I reckon I didn't or kibo mamba and utola re hona lo mongwe famous it's famous if faming and amal. But so the fact that we went and did this project together and we lived together, like literally, remember now it was COVID, so the whole hotel was booked for us. Wow. Yeah. So we lived in a whole space it was us. If I felt like kiwata coffee and I don't feel like making it, I know which one of my sisters can make it. So I'll just go down there.
Hello guys, welcome to myself Simon show. Today we have an incredible guest, someone that he groomed us from afar, not knowing that he has impact on us. He's a father, he's an actor, he's a comedian, he's a whole lot of things. Today is such an honor to be joined by Desmond Dube. It's sometimes like I always wonder whenever I look at you talking, or you are a Dube but you are speaking Sepedi and Tswana and Sotho. How come?
Yeah. Ke o di talk about Sotho. Yeah. But ke Mozulu.
So yes, because the Dube is
but ke o di talk about Sotho. It was actually an incredible thing just having to watch how my mother related with my father, because my father would just speak language high.
Yes.
Yes. And then Mzari Moholo had to figure out language.
Yes. Are you related to Alibalele Dube?
Langalibalele Dube. Yeah. Which one? Which one?
Langalibalele Dube, the founder of
John.
John
Dube.
The founder of ANC.
No, but I'm sure, I mean, not that I know of, but I'm sure if we track our ancestry, we'll probably get somewhere there.
Even Bishop Benjamin Dube.
We call each other cousins, but even Ihashelim Mhlope, because I don't know if you know this, in this, the Dubes are actually the children of Mangob. So Ihashelim Mhlope is the Ngob. So when he sees me, he sees a brother. But that's going deep into traditions.
The reason why I was asking is because like Dube surname is such a big name. Yeah. Whether you talk about Lucky Dube, Langalibalele Dube, Bishop Benjamin Dube.
Yeah, you mean in the industry?
In the country as a whole. Yeah. And they're not only in the industry. Yeah. In the country, it's such a powerful name. Yeah. The Dube one. So
it's also the easiest to say.
No, say it's a powerful one. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
It has weight.
I get you.
Growing.
So you can't be a Dube and disappoint. That's the pressure we have.
Yes, there are eyes on you if you are a Dube. Like there's that expectation to say this is a powerful saying. You must hold it with dignity. And
thank you, man. It's the first time I hear somebody say that in those words. Thanks for the pressure, Donna.
No, it's not a praise. It's a compliment and recognition of what the name represents in the country. But growing up, have you always known that you're going to entertainment industry?
I don't know for sure, but I can tell you, or maybe around age 8, 9, I sort of had that idea. In fact, probably like 7-ish.
What were your interests?
I knew no, hang on. This is where I'm going. I always had interest in,
yes,
so I always had interest in whatever was happening for the youth. Yeah. So whether it was music, so this is like around maybe age 7. And then something amazing happened around the time when I was sort of trying to figure out how to get. I mean, I was Alintuan. Yes, they don't even allow you in the youth choir because you're not really youth. You're a child, right? And I think around 8, 9 years of age, was a group called Mahotela Queens.
Yes, I know.
Remember Mahotela?
Yes.
In fact, it's so amazing because I was at the late Connie Chomi's funeral, and they were there. They performed at the funeral, and I realized, it's like a time warp. I was a kid watching these ladies on stage. Now I'm here with them, and it was a funny story because my mother wanted to go and watch that show badly, right? And I think my grandmother only up to here kosala lebana that weekend. Arai, sala lebana wow.
That's every weekend.
Yeah, no. Nka ngwana hao mo ise show. So my mother smuggled me into that show through the securities, because I don't know if you know, like, well, Otswa Limpopo. I want the theater now.
Yes.
So, but Wadula at the same level. And then what they'll do is that raise the level a little bit for the people who are sitting at the back. And my mother spoke to a security guy to say, this is my son, please just sit here with him, because otherwise all this place and we'll get into trouble. And the security guard said yes. And thank you very much to Ntate Kwaza, by the way, the late Ntate Kwaza. He was the security guard.
Yes.
And he agreed. I sat next to him. Don, I don't know if you know that feeling. I still have that feeling now when I watch performances. And suddenly I find myself teleported to the stage with them.
Yes. I feel like you're performing.
Yeah. Mahotela Queens used to have this thing where they had like 4 sets when they perform. So the first set would be, we talk about heartbreaks, like all the songs. It's a heartbreak.
Yes.
But that entire set has got its own costume. Now, the week is different. The colorful, it's that type of thing. And then the next set is,
as its own theme.
It's got its own theme. That thing blew my mind.
You don't know it.
Yeah. And also, I mean, they curated these shows so beautifully that they would perform. 2 ladies stay, or the band stays, the ladies disappear. And then when they come back, they've changed clothes.
It's something amazing.
You're like, what? How did they do that? Because they took your focus elsewhere while they were changing quickly, And I think that's when that bug bit me.
Into theater.
Yeah, no. That time, this is it. This is me. I knew that's what I wanted to do.
What was the next step by then? You realized that this is what I want to do.
Well, I waited till I got into the youth. I became, in my church, I became the youngest youth leader at age 14.
Wow.
So at that time, I already realized we need more activities. So the choir grew. Then we split the choir into 2. Those who want to do drama, and Gambu dancing or traditional dancing, so we became very busy. I think, but so were other churches. There was a.
What church was it?
My church is AFM. We come from AFM.
Oh.
Yeah. So then that was the thing that we started realizing, it's keeping the youth busy. We're constantly, because there were competitions. So if the choir is qualified for a competition, go Joburg or go Pitori, we all travel to Pretoria. And as young people, that's all you want.
To see places.
To see places.
I always say, some of us who grew up in the village, growing up, we were so disadvantaged in such a way that our thinking at times get confounded to our surrounding. The moment you travel, you see like nice, beautiful places. Like, oh wow, I wish I can live here. See nice, beautiful cars. Like, wow, I can drive this. And all look, you are used to this basic stuff and everything. You travel, you get to see like the malls. So look, malls, only shopping center. Although they call them malls, but they get the shopping center. So the more you travel, the more like your thinking get challenged and expand. Absolutely. And with kids here in Joburg, if you have like an advantage to go to SABC, you see what they do behind radio. It's not those who come and speak. There's so many opportunities. That's when you realize, or no,
it's a bigger industry than
True.
you thought.
Yeah.
I always say the biggest gift you can give your child, you are going to be a father soon.
That's a prophetic. That's prophetic.
Don't be if you're not ready. But the biggest gift you can give, even your community and your sisters and your siblings, is exposure. There's no gift bigger than exposure. Yeah. You if just by leaving your space where we all think small, it gives you the opportunity to have bigger dreams because you realize the world is bigger. There's other things out there,
I've been to Joburg for quite some time, but this other day I was blown out when I visited this particular estate where I won't name it, but that's where other people like minister stays. Most of these people in the industry are doing well stays, and just by being there, it's so big like a suburb. It's not it's not like an estate. It's so big like a suburb.
Yeah.
You see these beautiful things that they have in their yards, and you're like, "Oh, I see this only in American TV."
Yeah.
They are here.
They're here.
And that's the time like you challenge yourself for, okay, I want to give my kids a better life, my family a better life. So those things do help us. So who are some of the people besides Mahotela Queen, obviously being one of the first that you attended their concert? Who are other people in the industry growing up who had an impact to your life from afar?
I mean, obviously, once I got to a legal age,
Yes.
I could now go to theater shows.
Like 16?
Like Bopra Gibson Kente. I've always been a big boy. So even when I was 16, I looked a little bit older than 16. So I was able to attend Kilobonabo, Gibson Kente shows, Bose Mangwani. And, I was just able to open myself up to what the industry had to give.
Yeah.
The strange thing is that I never thought I would actually be an actor. Yeah. Because I think I was so focused on music that even professionally, so my first play was Julius Caesar. Yeah. And I remember thinking, I love this. I don't know, but it's got no music. Yeah. Because I got a chase music. Music. Because acting is like rhythm. It's it's rhythm. It's the same concept of harmonies versus who's leading and that kind of thing. So I just remember thinking, I love this thing. And then my first big production here in Johannesburg was a musical. So I was satisfying both curiosities, both music and acting.
But which one did you as time goes on and now you get more opportunities, which one you kept enjoying mostly, music and theater?
Exactly as you said it. I enjoy musical theater more. I love telling stories. And I think as I grow older, I'm beginning to become more sentimental about certain stories not told. So in terms of theater, I'm an all-rounder in the theater, I think. I'd love, but if I had an opportunity to do a musical versus a straight play, I'll probably go for the musical.
And by the time like you, obviously you start to go in theaters and perform, and there are people from your surrounding who see you, watch you perform there. How was the atmosphere now in Pretoria? Choko Pretoria, right?
Yeah.
How was the info in the atmosphere whenever you are going out, because they see you doing your thing in the theater?
Yeah. Fame is a drug, man. It's a drug because, I mean, Ronald Nerna fame yakos kela.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We were known as the guys, the Ektarakos.
Yes.
Whenever there's plays, But even that, it just pushes you to be better. You start becoming a little bit giggly because what's Asia kokasi everywhere you go. But go
and girls by then also start like recognizing you.
Obvious.
Yeah.
Obvious. Acting. Playing down. I like him. Yeah.
That's dope.
So Outlaw Shayla, you don't need to do that much anymore.
Because now you're known. In having like that, people now recognize that obviously you are getting a little bit of respect there and there, and obviously what was the most challenging thing trying to be mutu?
Yeah, okay, that question has got double meanings, but I think when it's a gift, you focus on the gift rather than all the other frills. And I think for me, I always kind of think I surrounded myself with a lot of older people. Even now in the industry, I'm always around the older actors, And what that did is that it made me aware that this is just a job. Yes. It's just a job. You become famous, but at the end of it, it's just a job. In fact, there are jobs that are more greasy that I think are still better than our industry. It's just that we get to be famous. We get to be known by other people.
Because they watch on their TV.
But it doesn't mean we're any special. Yeah.
Your first movie was Attack Under the what's the name? I get about Africans. Your first film was Attack Under the Dark 4.
Latexin, come, bring it on.
So
sharp as
DARFUR.
Yeah. Bobini, that's now. Where are we now?
Get year 2009.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
That was your first film?
Yes.
Was an Afrikaner one?
It was an Afrikaans. Yeah. In Kimberley, we grow up speaking Afrikaans. It's similar to Old Pretoria. Yeah. So.
And how did you manage to land the role in the film?
It was an easy role, honestly.
You auditioned for it, or they called you?
I auditioned for it. They were looking for school kids. I think at the time it was between the age of 15 and 20. And but if you're 20, you must still look like Alfred Mtombela.
Yes. He's going to watch this. I'm going to send it to
him. Yeah, I'll send it to him. But so that number kept becoming smaller and smaller and smaller, and eventually I got one of those roles.
And the way requirements other than like the looking like fluent in English or in Afrikaans, I mean.
Yeah, I don't think it was a big requirement. I think they just wanted to know how you'd be able to handle. I said it was easy because also a teenager who's always crying, it's not difficult.
but it takes
a teenager
a lot.
Who's sad. It's not difficult to play. When you're a teenager.
But I think if you grew up in an environment where you receive so much love and everything, it's hard for you to cry. Unless if you had a tough background like myself, because you quickly delve into those emotions and everything, and you bring them back life.
I think that's a lie. I don't know who told you that. Yeah.
Like if you grew up in.
I think emotions has got nothing to do with where you grew up. Obviously, as actors, we source certain emotions from certain places. If you really need to be sad, you have to tap into the saddest time in your life. And everybody has it. Doesn't matter how rich or poor they are. Everybody has a saddest time or the happiest time in their life.
Is it difficult for you to delve into that time?
To what? To sadness.
To sadness and emotions.
Yeah. Yeah, it is difficult. I think it's a difficult thing to do because also we're men. We're expected not to cry.
Yes.
You know, um, and then you become a father. Now it's worse. You can't cry because you're a father.
Yeah.
You're not only a man now. You're a man and a father. You know, so you know, that type of thing. So it's a difficult thing to do. But I think as you grow older, it's just you know how to eliminate people who make you feel like that. You know, Lona ntse le counseling no as the youth. Nakale ke ithutile cancel.
How do you do that?
No, I cancel people who are toxic in my life. The period.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is the
Period.
Yeah.
I give on like
Negativity
Yeah,
and
no.
no, we do need that kind of skill. I wish most of us we can have it.
Absolutely.
Ntate Dube, one of my films that you are part of, it's How to Ruin Christmas.
Yeah.
That's a dope film. But one thing I don't like is like mara ba dlala ka Tati Desmond ba mriang bona meriri jwa ke re ba mriang. How did you get the role in How to Ruin Christmas?
So one of the producers of that thing, I worked with him a couple of years before. In fact, he used to be a writer on Dube on Monday. And then so obviously 2020 came and nobody was working. 2020, everything was shut down. But for some reason, thanks to Netflix, Netflix said, no, we need content. We have to do this thing. So how we're going to do it is we're going to take everybody, the crew, cast, put them all in the same building. We test them first. And if they're all good, we put them in the same building. They quarantine and they shoot the entire thing there. So for 3 months, we all had to live together as the cast and the crew.
Was that Deadland? The other house was Deadland?
No. Go Rosebank.
Rosebank.
Yeah, it was a hotel. I mean, there was almost just over 100 of us.
Wow.
Yeah.
The other house, the other house, I don't know, was in the season 1 or season 2. It looks the one in Deadland. There's another house that looks like
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. I remember that we shot first season was pretty much around Randburg, mostly, unless if we had those township scenes.
Yes.
Then it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was Meadowlands. You know, but most of it was shot around Rosebank, Sandton, Ilovo, little bit in Hillbrow, towards Hillbrow, you know. Yeah. So how we got into that is that he said to me, Protez, we'd like to really see you for this role. Yeah. But I think they were already auditioned at the time. And one afternoon we did lunch, showed me the script, we sort of spoke about it, and then and it's weird, man, because my memories of the role itself were not so pronounced like when we were doing it. You know, in my mind I said yes because I felt like it was a small role. Spacing and you know, until we actually got to quarantining because we were doing script readings, sort of just trying to enhance the script even more. You know, and that's when I realized, no, actually this guy has got a story because he's the only man surrounded by 4 sisters, and they bully him. And he's
problem with alcohol.
He's got problems with alcohol, but his problems with alcohol, it's also because his dad passed away, and him and his father were the only men in the family. They were anchoring one another. Then Timer left, and now he's left with all these responsibilities. Because remember, if you're the only son, I live time via you are the father.
Even if timer I survive, if timer I feel like a span, and you're the only son,
Sure.
like
Sure.
it's very depressing because like you live in the village and you're the first son to make it to varsity, and like re lebeletse wena. I also know dlale le jwalo ka bana ba bang o ye di-partying. You're always thinking if something bad happens to me, ba tla reng kae? So that pressure starts at that time. It's like I'm the only son who made the first one to make it to varsity. I'm the only son they're looking at. Gore ke bereka ke renovate the house and everything. And it start to build up from there. By the time he reaches to the age of the man in the film, How to Ruin Christmas, has always been depression for all these years and pressure to say, be a man.
Except we never used that terminology.
Yes.
Or rather, people like the character I'm playing doesn't see it as depression.
Yes.
You know, for him, it's just a way of life and escapism.
Yes, they stay a little bit drunk and you're
Yeah.
okay.
Oh.
You're okay with life.
It's a bit young.
Was it hard? Was it great working with Rami Chuene?
Yeah.
Because you share most of the scenes with her.
Yeah. No, Rami's like my sister, man. So it was easier because Rami, Clementine, Keketo, all these ladies are sisters, like in the industry.
Oh, yeah.
So the fact that we went and did this project together and we lived together, like literally, remember now it was COVID, so the whole hotel was booked for us.
Wow.
Yeah. So we lived in a whole space it was us. If I felt like Kiwata coffee and I don't feel like making it, I know which one of my sisters can make it. So I'll just go down there and I think that's how the character actually all the characters develop so beautifully.
Oh,
you know.
Yes, and the camaraderie.
Yeah. I mean, after How to Ruin Christmas, I doubt if there's something with the same kind of funny and intensity, even on Netflix.
Oh.
You know, I doubt. I mean, I've watched a lot of stuff that's really good, that's funny, but it doesn't have the same intensity and realism like How to Ruin Christmas. You believed How to Ruin Christmas. If you see the characters together, you believed those two are brothers.
Are related.
Those two are, because just that time of living together made us understand. I mean, I remember there was a scene in the first season.
Yes.
There's a scene, Yashadreke kamo kitchening, kanku. Right?
Yes.
That scene was a lot shorter and funnier than what it was on the script.
Wow.
Yeah. I had lines, man. I had lines. Lady line. But as soon as I walk in, Kanku, and the sisters see me, they turn around and they go, "Ah, It was so funny that even the director thought, you don't need all that other stuff.
Yes.
The fact that as you're about to open your mouth, they shut you up. It's funnier.
And like just the reaction about her when you see like his body language and everything was like that's it, like it communicates everything, his disappointment, his lack of power within that environment. There's you don't need to express you don't
need to go and dwell into it. You can see it right there. You can see
and I think like Rami Chuene, that you share, both of you share a little bit of some of the characteristics in terms of she loves to express herself a lot, and she's funny.
She's funny,
and you are also
she's funny. She's naughty. We are the same person, so it was easier. I mean, our behind the scenes, I wish they had enough. In fact, I saw something on YouTube not so long ago, but I think Netflix is now beginning to release a lot of those behind the scenes stuff.
Yes.
It's naughty. They are funnier than the actual show.
I wish like when the credits are rolling, they can have moments like those ones. You see how Jack Channel does his stuff. Enjoy. You get to understand a lot more.
No, I really enjoyed doing
that. But that was great, and then it became successful. A year later, we're like, no, we need a season 2. Was it like well paid?
Yeah. I mean, I can't. According to local standards, Netflix is still still leading the pack.
Really?
Yeah. By far.
Even like
By far. When you earn well is when you are in a long-term series.
yes.
You know. And I think agents call that a global. They don't charge the production per day.
Yes.
They charge them for the month.
Wow.
You know. And also if you sign a contract, it's 2 years or a year, whatever it is, then you're there for quite a while. But with Netflix, you can make good money even with a small part. Yeah.
Before we continue pushing it much further, what times are you planning to leave?
Nkuba-san.
No, I'm asking to know that if I still to know if I can push it as much as I want.
You can leave at 8:30.
Sir,
I'm not going far. My next is Market Theatre.
Oh, that's
so
dope.
It's 10 minutes, 5 minutes.
That's the Sam. While we're still on Netflix, do they pay you actors on those dramas that are on Netflix royalties? Like you shoot for that period, you get paid whatever that you sign on the contract. Are there royalties to say every year you're going to be getting this little percentage because they're still making money out of the content?
No, there's no law like that in South Africa. You see, and that's why a lot of artists are saying our government is not protecting us. So there's no law like that where even a Netflix will probably do it for a UK actor, but they won't do it here because why would they? They're
not protected.
Yeah, it's not. It's not part of the law. Or Netflix must know if they're doing a thing in South Africa, they will pay royalties. So the issue of royalties is, I mean, I've got an overseas agent who collects if, the original agreement was that this is for us, but if they sell it to somebody else, then my agent will fight to get it.
But that agent has the power to get royalties. For an example, for Netflix specifically, How to Ruin Christmas is not only streamed in the country. The other countries.
Yeah, but it's still Netflix.
And
but if Netflix were to sell that to HBO, for example, then it's a different story altogether.
What advice that you can give young people like myself who are going into the industry, who don't really know a lot about how to make money, the business side of it in the industry?
Yeah. So recently I started using language like, I don't want to even call what we do an industry. And I'm saying specifically if I'm speaking from South Africa. Because an industry is regulated and it's monitored. And
it's a review.
You know exactly how you do things and when. So for us now, somebody was saying, yeah, but if it's not an industry, what is it? And I said, it's a hustle. We're all hustlers. We just don't want to call it that. But Grand, really hustlers. Verts is hustling you guys.
Say
Verts is hustling you guys because you come, you get educated here. Then when you're done, they close the door. They pretty much go,
on your own.
Yeah, we gave you the help we can give you. Close the door. But if Verts could have actually gone on to say, as Verts University, as an institution, we actually have, I'm getting into that. we actually have our own broadcasting license. Then it would give the students an opportunity to do the theory and practicals at the same time. Because Verts goes out to the public, whether it's Verts News, Verts Youth Events, or, whatever it is. Why we don't do it when these facilities are here, I don't know. But that's exactly what I'm saying. If institutions like the learning institutions, higher learning institutions, like Verts, UCT, even AFDA, or you name them, if they don't fight with the artists, then we can't call it an industry. It means but after that, I'm actually a hawker.
Sam, I agree with everything that you said, but I have a little bit of disagreement. I don't
Okay.
love the word hustle
Okay.
because originally the word hustle is used for definition of all kinds of things, good and bad.
Okay.
Normally, when they say I'm hustling, that includes selling drugs, stealing cars, doing
Okay.
things
Okay.
illegally to make money.
Yeah,
So
I'll talk of villaging. So
no, sir, even in the States,
Kuyadlala.
hustle they
Kuyadlala. Arr.
yes.
Hey, mapedi adlalisiwe. Arr.
Work it out. So maybe I understand to how people nowadays like DJ Spoo how he used the word hustle.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean in a bad way.
It's not in that way.
Yes,
It's
yes,
not.
yes.
It doesn't have the same meaning
Mm,
of stealing, selling drugs,
yes, yes.
or whatever. But I think what it is that you are not guaranteed nothing.
Mm. Just
If you
putting
work
your
in a
all
space where you are not guaranteed anything, then the new term is I'm hustling. Can I do it constructioning? It's a hustle.
So most of us, whenever we see you with suits.
Yes.
So
yes.
when most of us, whenever we see you, even on the streets, we
And I hate
associate
suits.
you. Really?
Suits. Your knowledge suits are good.
I love them so much.
Eh.
I just don't have the funds to
You
buy
just don't
them.
have them.
But one day when
me
I
and
have
suits.
money, I will buy them.
Yeah.
A lot. It will be like Maluski Gawa will have like 200.
Yeah.
Of them.
Just the whole line of suits.
Yes.
No, I hear you.
And whenever we see you associate you with clientele,
Yeah.
How did that opportunity come of being a brand ambassador?
So I've got a corporate communications company, which was very young then.
Yeah.
But also I was doing Dube on Monday, which then became Dube on 2, the biggest comedy show at the time. Sort of we broke the norms of what television looks like. All that stuff with phela awunoqala ubona set ebuildilwe nkamikuku inele kodube on Monday. Nobody else had done it before.
Emana khopelo botse tamano rwa rasetsa ke tsebore ke mang wa bolelang ka mantle.
Wa le sa kwala mnyao.
Yeah. Oh, and
you can just close that door.
Okay, no kwala lo mnyako botse paba la bo kwala lo mnyako. You were saying the first time you see Mkuku on a TV was the one
like a set Mkuku it's in a drama. Just a proper set for a variety show. Then we started sitting on dustbins. That thing, if you remember, or got to one Monday, my guests used to sit on top of dustbins. And at first we wanted to have crates, but the crates were too low. Yes, so then we came up with this idea of taking the dustbin and putting it upside down. And so during that time, while I was doing this, we were doing a lot of background work for a lot of companies. Wow. First National Bank, Bata, British American Tobacco at the time. I used to teach. We used to do projects that were teaching them things like customer service, depending on what the company values are, and what they wanted to focus on. And then Clientele became one of those. So I worked in the background with Clientele for a while. Wow. Before the decision was made, or no, man, hang on. Demand, yeah. Demand. And sort of reluctantly moved into that space. And hangata is because we create stuff, you create, and then or no, and man, why not link at yeah.
Why not you?
Yeah, it's your idea. Let's put the camera on you. Let's see if you can pull it off.
So the initial idea was not to have you, was someone else as a brand ambassador?
No, they already had a brand ambassador at the time. I don't know if you know. No, I wouldn't call her a brand ambassador, but it was somebody who was representing that brand quite often. You know, if Konalidi events, MC, Banawalatayana, nearly a lady called Kanyilom.
No.
Yeah, you should know Kanyilom. If you're in this business, you should. She did quite a couple of those things. And then once I stepped in and then went and got Mom Lillian. Most of these things, man, was by chance. Because in South Africa, we didn't have brand ambassadors.
Chance or by blessing?
Blessing. Yeah, I mean, the blessings are not the chance. The blessing is the chance. Because, so what happened is, so Mom Lillian came, but it was really because we weren't sure about the brand ambassador idea. Because we didn't know what it means. Because the brand ambassador, if you remember, were used for a lot of cosmetic companies. So they would take a model and say, that's our brand ambassador for L'Oreal or whatever. So we had not seen brands just kind of going, this guy is going to be representing our brand. We had never seen it. So it sort of happened by chance, that whole thing. And I mean, I remember even just negotiations. I had to call people overseas.
Wow.
To find out. So Richunagi.
It's new to me. How do I treat this new baby?
Yeah. I don't know. It's in some cases they'll sign you for 3 or 5 years. 5 years! You know, because I've always been very. I don't know what it is. I've got commitment issues when it comes to span, and that's why you haven't seen me in a soapy. And if you did, I'm very aware. So Limpatla for 3 months, sharp. After 3 months, I'm out.
It consumes a lot of time. Like your whole day, you spend it there shooting soap.
No, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, but I'm not complaining because my fellow colleagues have made great lives for their children doing those things. So clearly, the soapy are better for us. South Africans seem to like it. Our audiences seem to want to follow stories for a longer time, which is great.
So when they tell you how to negotiate and then 3 years contract maybe along the way, you start shooting the adverts.
Yeah, no, we started shooting adverts even before that. Was, that's how, in the dark we were. We were just kind of like, okay, so, yeah, how do I handle a shooter?
And clientele adverts, like it got Saturdays or Sundays. But for like a 5 minutes or 7 minutes slot, only one will explain. Chief, this day. You will explain, hello guys, my name, as you know, I'm Desmond Dube. Clientele, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. That's when we still had infomercials, when they were still long. Yeah. We no longer have those now. We have like 2 minutes. The longest now it's 2 minutes. Because even from a broadcasting point of view, it's not with the broadcasters, business anymore. So they do 2 minutes. It's the longest. And then all of them, it's 2 minutes, 1 minute, and 30 seconds.
So every year you go and reshoot new adverts for next coming year?
No, not every year. No. I think if you think about a brand like Clientele and Coke, Coke doesn't really need adverts. It must have been Coke. But it's to keep the brand relevant and for all those new customers to remind them, and if there's changes in policies, for example, then, Clientele now offers quite a lot of stuff on its products. So it needs new ads,
But by the time you started to work with them, work behind the scene before you became on the screen, you had a cover with them. And when you became their brand ambassador and everything, were you continuing to pay for your own cover or you was part of the benefit as a brand ambassador?
Why Why something policy?
Brand ambassador.
Yeah. I'm the guy.
Yeah, that self policy.
If you think Clientele, you think Desmond Dube.
Yes.
Yeah. So why would I be paying my,
Usually on a Clientele, a lot.
Kijile, what do you mean by that?
Like financially, you made a lot of money.
No, ke a bereka. Yeah. Ke span.
Yeah.
Ke span. So, yeah.
That there's money in ads, right?
Yeah, in the traditional ad world, there's a lot of money.
What do you mean traditional?
Traditional ad world is the advertising agencies, the guys who do the 30-second videos, Land Rover advert, there's a lot of money there. Lot of money.
For me, I only know you that you're brand ambassador of Clientele. What are other brands that you are ambassador of?
Before Clientele?
Even before or even now?
Yeah. Look, I think a lot of other brands, Clientele became big. And we became the representation of that brand.
Yeah.
So it obviously, over time, there were other people who wanted me for their brand, but they were like, "Hey, but this guy is also now that brand is overshadowing ours because this man utsijwaka blue suit, So they kind of fell off. But I had a lot of, I still have a lot of corporate clients. I just don't appear for them on camera.
That's where the real money is.
That's where the real money
is.
Yes. Yeah.
When
So you don't appear for them on camera, and you also, from an ethical point of view, you don't share the same ideas. It's Uncle Clientele with another brand. You create new ideas for those guys. And you become proud. I did that.
Yeah. Besides acting, comedy, theater, what other stuff that you do in entertainment world, since you don't want me to use entertainment industry, in entertainment world, and maybe are you doing producing, casting, everything?
Producing.
Yeah. That's dope.
Producing, yeah.
There's money there.
Yeah.
Because
but that's why I said you can diversify in the industry. And that's why I get a little bit annoyed whenever I sit with people whose intention is to make you feel small when they start asking you, besides from this thing, what else do you do? No, it is, I do this thing. But within this thing, I do a lot of other things.
I think
it's like an athlete who runs 100 meters, 200 meters, 400 meters. You can't look at him and say, hey, so besides from running for 8 seconds, what else do you...
I think it's a valid question and a concerned one to say, okay, we see you are doing this thing, as they call it. You are acting, and we know that in acting, the ups and downs. There are times whereby you can stay 3 months, 6 months not working. If there are times like that, how do you live? I think that's
nobody
that's
in South Africa asks you that from concern.
Really?
No.
People nosy.
No, people nosy. It's mostly because they're trying to figure out where to box you, to put you. Most of the time, trust me, I've got the bra telling the entrepreneur. Because as soon as they because we raid one another, as we raid one another, we've got new money. Yeah. So I cannot in dawo share or kibo mamba and utolore hona lo mongwe famous it's famous if
but I think that applies a lot in my generation, not in your generation. I think
no, it does in my generation.
I think the 2000s ones
no. Started a long time ago. Yeah. I
think
think it became worse in our generation, actually. Really? Because you must remember, our generation was also sort of like the young generation of the new economy, if that makes sense. So think of it this way. So 1994, things change in South Africa. Black people start being introduced to the economy and how to make money, more money, da-da-da, da-da-da. We were that generation. So the competition, what you're seeing now, whether politically, in social circles, corruption, it's all because it's people. It's this massive group of people who have not had money, and now they have it, And now they're competing with one another like crazy. And they'll do anything to have it. So no. What you guys are experiencing is not too different from what we have experienced.
But by the time you get your first film, you are performing in theaters. You were young by then. How or what were you spending your money on as a young man starting to make a little bit of money?
Yeah, my story is a little bit different, because so I came to Joburg to go to Gibson Kente's. After a while, that didn't work out. I left Kontlong. Like you said, you are the responsible one.
Yes.
Yeah. So every move is watched. So you say, Kilo's a my actor. Yo. I had one of my favorite uncles, still my favorite. He's late now, but he used to say, Mardiman, what it's at the catch. What little Diman are at the catch. Ropila joy the catch, that type of thing. So it was a mixture of so come to Joburg to start working the Gibson Kent, but also trying to see, what other opportunities. Remember now, I my first appearance on TV was in Lisilo Rula while I was at school.
Yeah.
So the pressure is now, Utofela yi, call Lisilo Rula, or are you gonna make it any further? So when I came here, I had that understanding already. Things have to work out. I don't have the chance to say, let me try it. If it doesn't work out, I'm going back, So I was saying to you, I'm lucky in a sense that I went to Gibson Kente. That didn't work out. I ended up homeless.
Really?
Yeah. So to answer your question of what did I spend my money on, was I had to get out of the streets.
How long were you homeless?
About 2.5 years.
Sleeping?
I would say 3 years, but it was actually about 2.5 years, because I think when I started seeing the light is just as valuable as already being there. Does that make sense?
Yes, I do.
When you start realizing, this is my path, and actually, if I just put a little bit more effort, so you don't even see yourself as homeless anymore. But don't say, YMCA, low splash.
Nice.
You know what I mean? It's it was so to answer your question about how did you spend your money, is I already felt like I have these responsibilities. I had to find a place to stay. Obviously not your own place immediately, because you start sharing first, then as Spanish fedile banalo sheba or so ivoroso tengwe hiti phela, then go ba le direct tsa majita tsa loka di fridge when out it driller fridge e kenya lock.
Thank God I don't have I haven't experienced that one.
Yeah. Hey Joe, we can write a book, you and I, if I tell you about things that people do when you don't have. That's why when Mom Lillian, she spoke at one of the biggest events, and she was mentioning Roleko Kalega Estates, and she mentioned that poverty is a curse.
It is.
And after she said that, I was like, that's deep, because nobody sees you when you're poor.
No one.
No. Nobody sees you when you're poor.
You don't have dignity. You don't have respect.
I'll give you a perfect example. Walk around here. Yeah. When you're out here homeless, where you mean Safela? Kunjan Khotman. Sharp. Kunjubani kam. Just have a conversation with him and then leave. And see what that guy does. In most cases, he's going to say, hey Baba, when ubani kanti? Because it's a shock that you saw him. You didn't stop him to give him money, because on the contrary, that's not what those people want most of the time. They just want to be seen. I'm homeless. I'm not
invisible.
Yeah, I'm not, I'm just homeless. I just don't have a home. So that thing, when people see a homeless person crossing the traffic light, they're not coming to you, but one about the window. And then pretend they don't see him. Just look
on the road.
Yeah, just focus in front of you. You know what I mean? So that's hard. That's a hard life where you realize nobody actually sees you. So for me, poverty is a curse because of that. So I was able to, when I came out, started living with a few friends, that type of thing. And if you don't learn how to use money then you'll never know. You know, if you've experienced something like that and then come out of it and just be reckless with your money, you know. So I yeah. So that experience taught me that when money starts coming in, I have to be somewhat... Look, I mean, there was a time when I got a little bit, ahead of myself. Because, fame, ule young, you buy the fastest cars. I remember at some point, one of my cars didn't even have a boot. In the sound system. When you open, because it was a VR6, when you open the boot, it used to have a screen that sort of flips out, right? And this was all fine and logical, right? Until I became older and I was like, what was the screen for? Like, why?
What car was it?
Like, how often, VR6, like, how often do you actually get to see the screen at the boot of your car?
Your car, yes.
It's only when you've gone to a park, maybe, which Ronabo Machitabo Tiger, we don't do that a lot. We don't picnic a lot, So I'm trying to give you an idea that I did get to a point where, okay, I'm a young guy who just ran into money. So there are things that there's no logic or intelligence behind that idea. It's just I'm doing it.
Now you are homeless. You keep pushing. To you, it was a must to say this has to work out.
Yeah,
it was. You keep pushing.
No, it had to work out.
It has to work out. And now you get a break in your life. When you made your first million, what's the first thing that you did?
I didn't make my first million like first million.
Like
it came at once. Yeah, it sort of built up a couple of investments here and there. By the time that million comes, you don't even see it as a million anymore. Because does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, in fact, we want a short. Can I need a million manch? Two chance.
It's slow.
Yeah, if I slow, it's that, and not that you're being ungrateful, but it's because your pace is very strategic. So you understand, this is what I want. By the time I'm this age, this is what I would like to have.
I'm interested in learning more about money in the industry, because there and there you run into money. Maybe you do something, you get 100,000, and if you are not literate with money, you use it somewhere somehow. There was a point in your life it was like, you know what, Desmond, I'm doing well now. I'm starting to make money. As Black people, we are not educated more about money. I was like, I need to find a mentor, or maybe not to advertise them, but also they're doing great stuff like Liberty. They do a lot of stuff, investment to people who are in the industry. There was that time in your life.
Yes, definitely. I think you answered that. You asked the question and then answered it yourself. The idea is really to seek people who are knowledgeable on how money systems work. And once you have those people who will assist you, who I still have, by the way, in my life today, some of them even younger, who say, no, pretest. Hey, infit. Like what own a chicken leg in, I'm not a chicken leg. There's a better investment here, and then they show you. And I was talking to a young man who is actually quite famous from KZN, and we were talking about the Khomu and that kind of stuff, and and we had such a nice, healthy debate about buying livestock and then having to find people to look after the livestock because it gets stolen.
That's too
or
much.
it dies. Or,
Developer maybe after a year and you have been feeding them the whole year.
But money doesn't grow that fast either. So in terms of times, which one is a better investment, you can't argue time, right? So, but the point he was trying to make was to say, if I have $1 million, I would rather put it into a conservative investment market where I know it's growing. It's not growing fast, but the risks are smaller. But if I go and buy cows, I run the risk of having 5 of those cows dying at once. The cows are outside, you can't bring them in the house. Lightning, they die. And so it was such a fascinating conversation to have with somebody who's young, who understands farming, because the guy I'm talking about is famous. I don't want to mention him, and he's from KZN. So it was so interesting for me to hear, because immediately I was like,
sometimes not even like sometimes just something is in sharp.
Sometimes just something is in sharp.
Yeah.
You still need to have on speed dial the veterinarian. Yes. Depending on where you are, the vet can only come once a month. So you're right. Yeah. So I learned those dynamics very quickly. Investments and investments. And then there are people who know that world so well that just with $1 million, they don't have to work again.
Yes.
They grow that $1 million into something massive. Yeah. And I pray that we all at some point get to that point where we understand how that works and why it's important that we do that, so that money works for us and we don't.
That Desmond Dube, that Clientele. Besides having like production company where you do filming and other work on the side, if you are comfortable to, I think it's more inspiring and encouraging to a lot of us as young people who are looking at people like yourself and say, if that Desmond is doing this and that, I also can do it. If that Desmond is from this kind of background, managed to do this and that, and it's also owning this, I can be able to. I'm not asking this because I'm putting in a position to brag or show off. I'm asking this because I want you to inspire us as young people to say you can do this and that. Don't only depend on this. What other companies that you own?
Well, the companies I own are in the industry, besides from the NGO, which is exactly what that is,
Yes.
But they're all in the industry. And like I said to you guys earlier, you can diversify. People don't understand what you can have a post-production company.
Yes.
The TV show, their editor, they need you.
And as we have access to Premiere Pro, Da Vinci, Lightroom, and all this.
Yeah. We are going into a venture now to actually consciously have facilities for the industry.
That will be here in Joburg or Cape Town?
No, here in Joburg. Yeah.
It's
a bigger market in Joburg. So, so there's business in our industry. You can diversify. You can, the same way people in the UK will look at makeup and wardrobe as a business.
Yes, a serious one.
They don't see it as a support service to the industry. It's a business.
They need a contract for it.
Yeah, it's an actual business that run properly and so on. So I think that's what we need. We need that, but we also need the industry to be recognized, to be regulated, so that the taxman understands why this line item is not included, or why that line item borrowed that one.
The Gayton MacKenzie last time was saying is going to regulate the industry.
We'd love that. I mean, we'd love that. We don't care who does it. We'd love for the industry to be regulated. But I can tell you that Gayton is going to have to be supported to do that, because that's not just a minister's fight. There were ministers in that position who did try, but the systems. If we regulate, we are going to miss out on and lose out on. Yeah. You must remember, for the extreme wealthy to be wealthy, they need the poor. They need a group to be poor. Otherwise, they can't be. We can't all be billionaires.
Yes. I always say, capitalism, I know how they define it, but capitalism is just the simplest system to say, for you to be wealthy in life, you need to take advantage of others. That's how capitalism is. Those who are working hard to build the company, who put the real effort, are getting a little bit paid. And those are the ones who are bringing millions in the business. They're doing... for an example, let's talk about...
I don't know about that much. I don't know. I think we need to be very careful how we define that in particular. Because remember now, as an ordinary person, I want to give you a service.
Yes.
And you pay me for my service. So if I call a guy, because pipe he's a plumber, he's coming to my house to fix something I can't do, right? He does it, then I need to pay him. So I think that line sometimes gets a little bit blurry. Ke plumber, but hey, nekile ko ntlong ya motsepe and diamond. Diamond ha no patala. You know what I mean? Yes. Because as soon as you walk through the door, the gate, you realize your costs go up, which is a sickness that we have, by the way, in South Africa. We are the small business. Is that as soon as a famous guy walks through that door, all your prices go up, because you assume he can afford it, and then you wonder if nobody famous ever comes back to your business, because So we need to be. I think we need to be very careful how we define the idea of capitalism and the idea of greedy capitalism.
Yes. Okay.
I think those are two. If you work, if you qualify here and you go and work for SABC and you eventually get to becoming head of drama for SABC, do you know the stress that comes with that?
It's a lot.
And you need to get paid for it. That's going to make you rich. So if it makes you rich, nobody has got the right to look at you and go, yeah, when capitalism, somebody has suffered. No, you just worked. You gave SABC a service that you had to be paid for.
Mentioning that the industry needs to be regulated so that things can be better in the industry. What are your thoughts on the idea of 90% local content that Hlaudi Motsoeneng was trying to introduce that was
brilliant
rejected?
Idea. I think brilliant idea.
You support
but it needs a strategy. Yeah. So you don't wake up tomorrow and go 90% content, but there's nothing to back it. We don't have, like in the soccer world, Barabanali development, early days. So, and that's why in these other European countries, you see a guy who's 19 playing at the World Cup, even 14. If you remember that boy, Owen something, the British boy. He played at the World Cup at age 14 because there's development. So once you start rolling it in about 5, 10, 15 years, then then it automatically becomes 90%.
Local, yes.
You know, not because I woke up today and
cancel this other
and then heard this 90 and then we say we cancel everybody. I mean, think about what 90%, because it never happened really. Great idea, but it would have meant Sony no longer supply us with American artists, or even some West African artists were signed up to them, because we're focusing on local for now. But we don't have enough local. Right? We've been rejecting local. Local life, yeah, your music is a little bit urban. Now we want 90%. Where are we going to get that 90% from? Where is the money to go to the artist and say, you have to create more work now? You know, so 90% can't be like, it needs to be a strategy. It needs to be, we need to look at what year are we in now, 2024. We need to look at 2030 and say, okay, we're implementing 90% local music, so that by the time we get to 2030, we have music, TV is our own. Everybody has done it that way. Even the Americans, believe it or not.
One of those guys from Nigeria, what is it called, their channel, doing very well. Although the content, the quality is not that great when it comes to sound, sometimes cinematography. I forgot what's the channel. One Major or something.
Okay.
Yes, they're doing like very well. And when you check, it's just them. It's just them. And now the entire world has, or most of the world has accepted them. It's accepted their content is doing well in the market. So I think besides like being local and other advantages, it's creating more work, more skills. A lot of people are having like more opportunities, and if it's that way, that's when we start to regulate things, to say, okay, if we're shooting local content here, come with wardrobe, here's your registered company, get your contract and everything. And a lot of young people who are skilled and unemployed who can do these things are going to have jobs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bollywood did that. Yeah. So I don't know if you know this, but about 20 years, maybe a little bit more. So the Chinese government decided that they're going to regulate the film industry in China. It was such an amazing turnaround. It could be maybe 25 or 30 years ago. But what they started doing is that they started building facilities where people like yourselves would then come and, pitch stories. You shoot more, and then they realized that their culture was influenced by the American market, like everybody else, right? Yeah, we all watch more American movies and TV shows than our own. Then what they started doing is that they went back to the Americans and they said, look, we want to create a global world where you are able to see Chinese actors in American movies, or Chinese directors directing an American TV show. They flipped it. They flipped the whole industry, because they then said, for each one of those, we'll give you enough publishing here. Meaning, in a year, the Chinese can decide, no, Bad Boys are ribat. Lie haribat. Lie haribat. We want that one because it's got
Rush Hour.
Yeah, we want Rush Hour because it's got, it's got our representation in it. It flipped. But also, remember now, the Chinese have got numbers.
Yes. Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
Over a billion.
Yeah, they've got numbers.
Yes.
So the Americans couldn't tell them to go and sleep because they knew they needed that market. And that's how you started seeing directors like John Woo and all those guys, and the big stars that come out of China. They started, and then of course there was a trade exchange now. But Netflix now have K-pop films, which is just Asian films straight out. They don't need a white guy from America. They don't need a big star from Africa. It's just them, and there they are. So to turn the industry around, it needs that. You don't wake up and say 90% and then think it's just magically going to happen. It needs a lot of money, it needs a lot of planning thoughts, it needs
research.
It needs us to understand where we're going. It needs money people, actuaries, to come and sit with industry people and teach them, or if we do this is how our money grows. But numbers play a big role, and that's why greedy capitalism will never allow us to just make films for Africa.
They need to sell
because they know what that
us.
means. Yeah, because once we start making just for us in the continent or even in the diaspora, that's it.
Like, films have so much power. They're selling us their culture. Number one, they're selling us their clothes and everything, their cars, through their films.
Well, they started with culture. That's with culture, because then you start denouncing yours. Because I get yes. I had an interesting conversation with an American comedian who now sort of resides here, and he made a joke in one of the shows that I saw, and the joke for me, not that I'm sensitive, but it's that it was funny, but it still had that, oh no, he was an African booty scratcher. Meaning in his mind, even though he's here, he still sees
Africa.
Yeah, still the Santa Majita, who just started wearing pants yesterday, as far as he's concerned. And I said, that thinking needs to change. If it doesn't change for an American black man who lives here, or who has friends here,
who comes here frequently
and
see how we live.
Yeah. Like, how do we teach the ones who've never, who only see Africa as poor flies all over, Yeah.
Was that Griffith? Because he was here.
Yeah.
Was that Griffith? The comedian, American comedian Griffith something?
Oh no. He's a lot junior than that. Yeah, I went to one of the local bars to just watch some comedy, and I said to the guy, "You can't be shocked, Jorge. These people didn't warm up to you," because he was like, "Yeah, man, I think I died out there." I was like, "Well, yeah. These people are smart people. The people who afford to come to these places, they're smart Africans, so they don't want to come here and be insulted."
So in closing, why is the government, specifically the Minister of Sports, Art and Culture, and have people like yourself who have been in the industry for a very long time, who sees how the international world is managing to sell their content to other communities, why are they not having people like yourselves to advise them in terms of changes, and what do the industry need?
Yeah, good question. So, the fact that you said it's a Minister of what?
Sports, Arts and Culture.
Yeah, why? Why is sports with arts? Why is sports with arts? And why do we call it culture?
Yes.
Visually, if you say to your father or your uncle, someone older, if you say culture, the first thing they see, kirikupu,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So are we surprised when you take a budget to even the president that, oh, this is what your event is going to cost? That event that you guys are going to do January 8th, this is what it's going to cost. The reason why they get shocked all the time is because they think we do these things for free, because we are under culture. Right? Yeah. Because they see us as, for them, culture is like, masikula ngaphansi kwesihlahla, shaya igubhu, abafana nje basine lapha sesiqedile. Yeah, they don't see it as a, right? So I'm saying the formula to start decluttering this thing is that there needs to be a department of arts films, and perhaps theater. That is the department. Then there's a department of sports.
Yes.
Yeah, if we can take one minister and make him minister of electricity, I'm sure we can separate those ones.
Okay.
If I remember well, it used to be called Department of Arts, Culture, Science, and Technology. Do you remember?
Yes.
And I remember going, hey, guys,
Science and
what's happening? Yeah.
And sports and
everything. So remember think about being a minister of all these. You're dealing with SAFA and its own politics. When do you think you're going to work for the artists?
You have science, you have technology, you have this.
Which you probably spent your first 4 years just trying to figure out what it is, this science and technology thing. That's my other answer. My other answer is that we have political appointees, but not necessarily people who know where to go for that information to make their departments great. We don't. We have a guy who's never been a policeman who becomes a minister of police.
Yes.
Never been a policeman.
Doesn't have any idea.
Dude, I don't care what you say. If you Benny McCarthy was with Man United not so long ago as a strikers coach, because the manager of the team had a very clear understanding of, I'm a very strategic guy. I know how to see the whole picture, but I can't go and teach or rather and coach every one of these guys. If I get support by having
one of
their own, and then I have a support, the defenders. Have you seen the documentary, Rassie Erasmus, the rugby thing? Because that's why Rassie has got such a huge team. He's got guys who are coaching the scrums. So I'm saying in our industry, for some reason, we have a minister who's never been in the industry, who doesn't know anything about the industry. And I'm not just talking about Gayton, because Gayton is a fighter. I know he's going to break a lot of doors. Whether he's going to put new doors in after he broke them, I don't know. But his mindset is one that says, I promised people I want to do this and I'm going to do it. So, and we need to support him. But part of that support is that he has to come up with a realization that he doesn't know anything about the industry. So he calls people from the industry, even producers who've been producing for years. Just sit down, have imbizos with them. I'm not saying bring them into your cabinet or your office. Just have conversations. Create a little group that makes those kind of decisions. And I'm telling you that he would have done well just by doing that. Just by before he even gets to 90% local.
It's much impact that he already have done. Tate Desmond Dube, thank you so much for coming. I don't want to delay you any further. There's so many things that you could be doing that could be adding something in your bank account. You could be making money out there. You could be making impact, reaching out to schools, speaking with young kids, having seminars, doing work for your NGO.
No, money is relationships.
Yes.
I am making money talking to you.
Yes.
I'm happy, but this relationship is going to grow, and it's in the future. Remember when I interviewed you? That's what money is. Money is relationships, and it's got a DNA. Yeah.
Thanks. You could be doing a lot of work out there, but you chose to
I
sit
am
with
doing it.
us.
That's what I'm saying.
Give us your time.
You
Give us your time. I have to emphasize how much appreciative I am for making time to talk to us. We don't take this lightly, sir.
Yeah.
Having someone that you grew up taking like most of your time on TV screen. Hey guys, my name is Desmond Dube.
Yeah.
And you have him and you grow up, you get to learn, okay, it's not a clientele man only. As a comedian, as an actor, as a producer, as a businessman, as a father. You you get to love them and adore them, and now they're giving you their time. You sit with them. It means a lot. So
No,
say
thank you.
I'll always appreciate
No
this time.
worries, man. I'll do it again.
Thanks.
I'll do it again. Sharp,
so
sharp.
much.
Ra leboga Majida.
Yeah, thank you. And then ambassador ya Batu.
Ke rola Batu tjo.
Yeah,
Nna,
yeah,
I'm a Batu guy.
yeah.
I fell in love with Batu when it was a new company. And up to this day, you know, Batu has never sponsored me with one shoe. In fact, Bafa Rami. Rami dula tshwere di box tsa Batu. Yeah. I buy.
Bulela on this camera. Kitlo rumela sesilulu mandlas. Do you know her?
Yeah, no.
It's she's so big in Batu.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know if she oversees Batu.
As one of the companies.
Yes, but she's PA. Yeah. One of the position, but
okay.
The PA. Yeah, Theo.
Okay.
So talk to the camera. Yeah. I will send this here that you want them to sponsor.
Lulu, I've been wearing Ipatu. Ne? These boys just asked me now. See, I've been wearing Ipatu since the beginning of Ipatu. Instead, you guys ni sponsor abo Rami. Yeah, Rami yang comment like di box different colors, different designs. No, but it's understandable. Females are more into fashion and that kind of stuff. But I've always loved Batu. They are comfortable. And they make me proud that it's a local brand. I was in Singapore and see my sneakers are very white.
Yes.
And it's because I also have multiple of them.
Yes.
So one guy was like, "Hey man, what are these shoes? They are nice.
Yes.
Do they come without the laces? Because I take the laces off."
Yes.
Yeah. And I said, "It's Batu." What? Batu.
What is that?
What? So I had to explain for Batu, it's slang for shoes in South Africa, And that guy was so chuffed, man. So I left him with one of my other pairs that I had.
Theo has to reinvest. Has to replace that one. Has to replace.
No, it's all right.
Thanks.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
So
Thank you very much.